What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. Yes, blind film critic. I know. It's okay. You'll be fine. And I'm doing a March Madness thing where I pick 31 good, great, or excellent Netflix films, and I'm reviewing them. I haven't reviewed these before, so far, none of them. Um, and just proving the fact that Netflix has been able to competently make 31 films before. And I wanted to make sure that I included at least one kids film, which I did with Vivo, and one documentary, which I did with 13th. And I wanted to make sure I got one of their shorts because Netflix has been making a lot of shorts to try to Oscar qualify. And this is the short. This is the short. This is If Anything Happens, I Love You. This is a second look at this. I've seen this before. It is amazing. I don't know. It's so impactful. Um, I I was left speechless the first time that I watched this, and rewatching it, it's a hard rewatch because you know what you're about to watch, and you can't believe that you're watching it, and you can't believe that this is what this is, and that um the reality is that stuff like this keeps happening. So people keep trying to reach uh, through media to try to get people to understand what it's like, for these after these situations. And I think most of the time it's successful. There've been a couple times where I haven't quite felt like the film or the project that uses like a mass shooting or a school shooting as a premise has necessarily done it in the most holistic of ways. But I do think if anything happens, I love you. I think that really sort of explores loss and grief from in a short period of time, and in an interesting way, in just sort of an artistic way. Not a lot of dialogue, no dialogue actually. I think it's just singing, and there's just some music in the background that sort of helps to amplify the feeling and the mood. And it's just, you watch two parents and sort of their ghosts, the ghosts of themselves, like they've lost a piece of themselves, and you watch them sort of evolve, and you see that they had a daughter, and the daughter grew up, and the daughter had all of these likes and hopes and desires and dreams, and this cute little rabbit earphone, and went to school one day and never came home. And the last thing that she texted was, "If anything happens, I love you." And it's such an impactful work that when I think about like short films that I've seen, or animated, or live action, or documentary, this is like one of the few that really stays with me like permanently throughout life. Pixar has maybe like a couple, like what is it, Bow? um, I forgot if it's Bow or Bow. But like that one is memorable to me. So this stands out as being one of the few times where I've been just emotionally devastated. I'm thinking, if Netflix had had the opportunity, if they had premiered something, sort of like how Disney does with their animated shorts in theaters, and then you watch the movie. If Netflix was doing theatrical releases and you watch this before you watch something else, I mean, like, what a gut punch. Like, what would you even put this in front of? You know? Um, it is. It won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short that year, which it does absolutely deserves to. And when I thought of immediately, there wasn't even like another option for me of like which short film. Oh, it's definitely this one. Um, no contest victory for If Anything Happens, I Love You. Like if I took short films to a desert island, this would be one of the few that I would take, because I think it's a beautifully conceived movie, um, that's important and has a story to tell. And we keep seeing too many of these things continue to happen, and we just are so, uh, we just have become so disassociative in terms of our reaction to these things, that if it's not this huge thing where, like 50 kids die, then it barely even makes the news. But you can check your news, and somewhere a kid walks in, they shoot two or three classmates, and then they die. And then that one doesn't really, we don't really talk about it. They talk about it for like the day, and then they move on. If it's not like a huge thing, but that's like three kids who their parents don't have a kid anymore. You know, it's just, it's still important. It doesn't really matter how many people. It doesn't really matter who, this, there should be no violence in schools, not just a reduced amount of casualties in each shooting, So, it's something I believe strongly about. And I, as somebody, the truth is, and this is what my generation doesn't talk about enough, we grew up at a time where we didn't have active shooter drills. We just went to school. I've never had an active shooter drill the entire time I was in K through 12, because right before I was ready to graduate, Columbine happened, and that sort of started the trigger. And nobody really knew that it was going to continue to be this massively prevalent thing of our culture, where it's just part of an accepted society now, where you have to worry about being part of a mass shooting. So, yeah, we didn't have that. We didn't have, any of those kinds of drills, or, what happens if somebody comes in here. We all just looked at Columbine and we're like, oh, that's terrible, you know. And I graduated in time before anybody else. And so everybody else who's older than me, they all sat through these things, and they never had active shooter drills. They never had to sit in a closet. They never had to sit there and wonder. They never had to talk about a wolf on campus, or any of these other terms these kids use. So we've broken a promise to kids, and we're completely okay with that. So your parents, your grandparents, whatever it is, those people are not doing you any favors. They grew up in a world that they don't want you to grow up in, which is apparently a world in which they're able to just go to school and sit there and not have to think about, and at what cost. So, yeah, check this out. It's on Netflix. And I'm gonna give it an A+, because, like I said, I think for me, when I think about the few short films that I go to immediately, this is where my mind goes. Across any short film of any kind, animated, live action, or documentary short, Netflix or non-Netflix, this immediately would be in like the top 5 shorts I've ever seen. So if it doesn't warrant an A+, I don't know what does. So, thank you. The audio description is consistent the whole thing, because the whole movie is audio description, and it's really beautifully done. I wish it was credited. It's not credited, which is kind of sucks. But that's it, and I will see you guys on the other side.